I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, October 18th, 2023 to order. Clerk, can we please have a roll call?
1 presiding, 12 present, 0 absent.
We've got Commissioner Walker, you haven't checked in yet. We just have 12 present, not 1 presiding. Okay, now. Thank you. Commissioner Sorge, could you lead us in the prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, fellow commissioners. Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to approve the minutes from the October 4th regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the October 4th regular meeting minutes. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to items not addressed on the agenda tonight, we have a special meeting for tonight. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. So we're going to add this. We're going to attempt to add this to the agenda, and the reason behind it is Mr. Bryson from Atlantic Richfield had submitted this communication on Monday, thinking that that was the deadline. And since our council secretary, Barb Davies, was out, he wasn't able to get the right information, so he missed the deadline. He's looking to have a presentation on November 1st, and so we're going to add this to the agenda. There's not going to be any action, but in order to give the public ample time to know that this presentation is coming on November 1st. So with that, in accordance with the provisions of Section 6 of Rule 6 of the Rules of Business of the Council of Commissioners of the City and County of Butte-Silver, State of Montana, the Council hereby finds that an emergency condition exists which required that the Council rules be suspended to allow Communication 2023-529 to be added to the agenda of the October 18th, 2023 regular meeting of the Council. The reasons for the suspension is as follows. Communication number 2023-529 is a communication from Josh Bryson, liability manager from Atlantic Richfield Company, requesting to make a presentation on November 1st, 2023 to provide an update on the Butte Priority Soils Operable Unit, remedial design and remedial action progress. This communication was not submitted by the deadline for items to be placed on the October 18th, 2023 agenda. However, in order to provide the public with additional time to have notice of this presentation, Mr. Bryson is requesting this communication be added to the October 18th, 2023 regular meeting council agenda. Based upon the foregoing and to allow this matter to be acted upon, the council hereby finds that an emergency exists which requires the suspension of the council rules to add communication number 2023-539 to the agenda for the October 18th, 2023 regular meeting. I move to approve the suspension of the rules to consider placing communication number 2023-539 on the agenda at the October 18th, 2023 regular meeting.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this on the agenda. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? 529, yeah. 2023-529.
Oh, sorry, 529.
Yes.
There was a typo on my.
Okay. So it's communication number 2023-529. Thank you. Commissioner Anderson? I don't know if you voted. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote. 12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Next, we'll move on to the Chief Executive's report. I want to remind everybody that next week is Red Ribbon Week, and we hope that everybody here supports, living a drug-free lifestyle, and that we support the schools. It's not just a school event, it's a community event. I think it's important for us to portray that at local government as well. And so we're going to be sending out a message. Lindsay Ald is working to do some videos with Father Beretta and other community members. And so just kind of letting everybody know about that. I sent around a flyer about you're invited to the grand opening of Montana Tech's SAP Next Gen Lab. And this is a big deal. I had Tim Kober come in and talk to me about this, and Montana Tech is one of only 12 institutes in the United States, and this is their business program. A lot of people forget about, Tech's business program, and this puts them in an elite status of having this, being one of only 12 universities in the United States. And on the map, I sent it out to everybody, but on the map, we're about the only one in the Northwest that has that there. And it really sets Tech apart in the business department. And so they're having an open house for you to come up and see what they're doing, seeing what the kids are doing to help in their business program and developing business plans and things. And so I think it's exciting. I'm delaying my trip up to Flathead to watch my stepson run a cross-country meet to make sure that we attend this before we take off that day. So I think it's a big deal. I attended the community breakfast at Montana Tech, and there's just great things happening in the community. And it was mentioned in there that the Resilient Butte committee that we're working together, we're in the running for a $100 million project that Butte-Silver, Montana Tech, and Montana Resources are all working together to bring this project to fruition, which is solar project on impacted mine lands. And so it's something where I think there's like 18 of these projects out there, and it could be a $100 million program that could come to Butte based on this. And so it's a fantastic thing for our community. We're working together, and it shows that we're working to the future of what we can do with some of these reclaimed mine lands, and working together with Active Mine and Montana Tech. It's a great partnership. Other things, I want to just talk about many times in government, government in itself leads to sometimes conflict, and sometimes it's hard not to take things personally or go along with that. But I know there's a lot of times that, and I keep hearing all these terms, secret meetings, that people are using all the time. And I just kind of want to address that a little bit, because some of these terms are coming out of the consent decree. But I kind of want to remind people that we went through technical meetings, design meetings at the Montana Pole Plant, at the Parrot Tailings. And people now are saying that we're holding secret meetings that are technical meetings, and these design meetings are secret now on the consent decree, but there was never any question before on these other projects. And I want to address that, because I think sometimes we get into this conflict that there's this term that's out there that, somebody's doing something behind the scenes, behind the curtain, that really is not the case of anything that's going on. And I know that we work very hard every single day to do that. And I understand there's personal feelings, there's a lot of different thoughts of how things come along and the way things should be ran. And I respect the people that are on both sides of the issue when we start talking about these things. And that's all right. That's what government does. Sometimes we address issues that we all will never agree on, but we got to come to a consensus to work together. And so I just kind of wanted to address that, because
it seems to me that it's kind of the term that's now used locally, much like fake news was used within politics for many years and continues to. And I struggle with that when I know that's not the case and things like that are not happening. So just wanted to address that and talk about that a little bit today. But lots of great things in our community. Butte High tomorrow night has a chance to secure a chance of having the #1 seed in the playoffs. We're winding up fall sports. It's a great time. Fall in Butte, Montana is great. And I was at the Montana Ambassadors Conference, got to speak there, talk about local politics and the great things that are happening within our community. And you talk about people that are investing in our community. The Montana Ambassadors are a volunteer group that is local for Montana, but has chapters across the country. And these are people that are bringing real dollars into our communities, and a lot of them are talking really highly about Butte and our ability to bring in industry and development, and so we've got a great opportunity as we move forward in our community and keeping that positive energy going. And with that, I'm going to close tonight's Chief Executive's report, and I'll move on to public comment. Any public comment on any item on the agenda tonight, please come forward, state your name, your address, and what item you'd like to talk about tonight. Mr. Ivankovich, welcome.
Can you hear me? Chief Executive and Council Commissioners, I'm John Ivankovich, 1160 Waukesha. And just a couple of things on what JP was just talking about right there. You guys got a lot going on. And this November 1st meeting, last couple of meetings you've had a gentleman coming in here by the name of Brett Berry who's been saying, we're gonna flood the town and we're all gonna die from toxic water. I just want you guys to be aware of something. A year ago, my truck was stolen out of my garage, and when we found a purse that was in it when it was located, the lady's purse was actually was affiliated with that gentleman, and then when the guy actually tried to write one of the bad check, or a check that I had stopped, his partner tried to show up to my bank. I'm telling you this right now because you may want to be careful. He's probably going to show up again. He could quite possibly be dangerous. We may want to look at the idea of possibly checking for things before we come into that big meeting. Secondly, with the whole dissent decree and everything, I'd like to see people just start calling it British Petroleum. I mean, the fact is whoever, Sean, you said is from ARCO, I'd like to see why we're not just saying, let's call it British Petroleum, say what it is. And then, what else do I have? That's pretty much it. You said something about don't do drugs. Well, don't let your kids do heroin either, and that's kind of what I need to leave at that with him. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ivankovich. Do we have anyone else that would like to speak on any item on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, I'll move on to Section 1, bid openings, public hearings, presentations, and/or petitions. We have 2 bid openings tonight. The first one is communication number 2023-477. Angie Mullican, Public Works Director, Public Works Budget and Grants Manager, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to schedule a bid opening for October 18, 2023 for landscape restoration of the Basin Creek watershed. This project is granted and funded by the Department of Natural Resources Conservation and to address the dead and dying trees with the watershed. Director Neri. Oh, do we have proof of publication? County Attorney Joyce.
Mr. Chief Executive, we do have proof of publication for both bid openings and both public hearings, and all appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. I don't think you're. There you go.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Commissioners, we didn't get a bid for this one. I just found that out just now, so we'll have to go out to bid again.
Okay. Thank you, Director Neri. So we did not have any bids on this, so we will have to send this out to bid again. So we'll move on to item number 2, communication number 2023-478. Angie Mulligan, Public Works Director, Budget and Grants Manager, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to schedule the bid opening for October 18th, 2023 for the Molten Water Treatment Plant Filtration Replacement Project. Director Neary.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Commissioners, it looks like we have two bids. The first one was from Aqua Aerobics out of Loves Park, Illinois. Hoping the tools are in here.
That's crazy. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't say. Thought they were sending us microfiche that we had to put up. It's a thumb drive, yeah.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond from a licensed surety company in the amount of 10% that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioners, the grand total is $2,322,000, $2,322,260.
That's $2,322,260.
Yes.
Thank you, Director Neary.
Remember what page that was?
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioners, the total on this one is, oh, I didn't even say who it was from. Sorry. This bid is from Wygen Water Technologies out of Centennial, Colorado. The total on this one is $2,241,998. $2,241,998.
That's $2,241,998. Thank you, Director Neary. Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Mr. Neary, what was the engineering estimate?
2.5.
2.5?
Yep.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to refer this back to the Public Works Department for a recommendation back to this body.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to refer back to the Public Works Department. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to public hearings. We have two tonight. County Attorney Joyce, did you say that we already have approved publication on these? Thank you. Okay. First one is communication, number 2023-489. Zach Osborne, Butte-Silver Fire Chief, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to hold a public hearing for the October 18, 2023 for the sole sourcing the three remaining bays exhaust removal system at Fire Station 1 and 2 through Air Pro Incorporated. So it looks like Mr. Silk, our
Good evening, Mr. Chief
Battalion
Executive,
Chief.
members of the council. My name is Chad Silk, Battalion Chief of the Fire Department. I'm here in place of Chief Osborne today to formally request that the public hearing before sole sourcing the exhaust removal system through Air Pro Incorporated for the remaining three bays at Fire Stations 1 and 2. We currently have the Air Pro exhaust removal system in the other bays at the fire stations, and it's more cost effective to install the same system in the remaining bays. So with that, I'll take any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Battalion Chief Silk. Do commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. Thank you very much for being here. The only question I have is this did go out for a bid last time, correct, when the first three units were put in, and this was the best and cheapest filtration system at that time?
Commissioner Anderson, Battalion Chief Silk.
Chief Executive Commissioner Anderson, are you talking about the original installation of the Air Pro Incorporated Plymouth system?
Yes. When those units were put in, it went through the normal bid procedure, and now we just want to forego that in order to keep the same equipment, correct?
As far as I'm concerned, I assume that it did go through the normal bid system. The system that we have is probably over 15 years old, so I can't remember exactly when it was installed. I don't know if Ms. Joyce would remember or not, but this is to maintain the system that we have and to just add on to it. There was foresight into the initial installation of the system to where a lot of the ducting was already put in place in case we ever got funding to outfit the both stations. So that is another reason why we're asking to sole source this.
Thank you, Battalion Chief Silk. Any other questions? Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Is this a budget scenario or a grant scenario, the funding for this exhaust system?
Commissioner Reardon, Battalion Chief Silk.
Mr. Chief Executive Commissioner Ritter, and this is a grant process that we went through and were awarded to basically finish the entire station. So that I believe the match would be around 5 to 10% of a normal grant that we would receive, but yes, this is a grant that we were awarded.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of commissioners? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. First call for proponents. Second call for proponents. Third call for proponents. Next, we'll move on to opponents. First call for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. We'll close the public hearing. Moving on to the next item number 2, communication number 2023-498. Karen Malachny, Butte-Silver Bowl Health Officer, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to hold a public hearing on October 18, 2023 for the purpose of amending fiscal year 2023-2024 budget to allow expenditures of unanticipated revenue for the Health Department resulting from receiving a contract from Parents as Teachers program. Director Malachny.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Commissioners, for the record, I'm Karen Malachny, Health Officer for Butte-Silver Bowl. Tonight I'm asking your permission to amend the 2023-24 fiscal year budget to allow us to accept this unanticipated revenue for the Parents as Teachers program. By doing so, we'll be able to accept that funding and begin offering this program in our community.
Thank you, Director Malachny. Do commissioners have any questions? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. First call for proponents. Second call for proponents. Third and final call for proponents. Next, we'll move to opponents. First call for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. We'll close the public hearing. Next, we'll move on to Section 2, consent agenda. Sections A 1 through 4 and B 1 through 26. Do we have any friendly amendments and or segregations? Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I do have a friendly amendment and a segregation, so I'll start with the friendly amendment. We'll need to add the Personnel Committee report under Section 2, consent agenda entitled A, Committee Reports, under number 5. The Personnel Committee did meet and does have a recommendation. And then I will segregate that communication that we added to the agenda, which would now be 26. Communication 2023-529.
Do we have any more segregations and or friendly amendments? So that's the one that was added, the 20, it would be number 26, 2023-527, or 529.
Mr. Chief Executive.
County Attorney Joyce.
Commissioner Frederickson, it's not technically on the consent agenda because it was added.
We had
so
to
it's just
suspend
a communication you're going to have to talk about separately anyway.
Oh.
You don't have to
Okay.
We don't have to segregate it.
Okay.
It's not
Thank you.
within the consent agenda since it was just added
All
tonight.
right. Well,
Okay.
I guess pretend I didn't say that.
So we do not have a segregation, so we'll drop that off. It's on the tonight's to be acted upon, right? Okay. All right. So Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I would just like to segregate, communication, where did I just see it? Oh, communication number 2023-518, item number 15, please.
That's item 15, communication number 2023-518. Are there any other segregations? Seeing none, Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to approve Section 2 of the consent agenda, A 1 through 5 and B 1 through 25, with the exception of 15, communication number 2023-518.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda with the addition of Section A, Committee Reports, item number 5. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Oh, no, 5 is added on the, not the segregation, just the addition. Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving back to Item number 15. Communication number 2023-518, Karen Burns, Community Development Director, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign the Home-ARP grant funds in the amount of $1,900,000 to finalize project planning and construction and construct a 4-unit permanent supportive housing complex. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Dr. Burns, I just have a few questions. I think it's great. Just some clarity. Thank you.
Director Burns. Commissioner Thatcher.
Okay, Dr. Burns, so just really quick, so the 1.9 we're pursuing, that has not been awarded yet, correct?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Thatcher. No, we are in the process of writing the grant application right now. The grant application also requires us to pass a resolution, and that's been added to tonight's agenda as well. So we are in the process of putting together this grant application. We are working with our partners in housing projects. Action Inc. and Butte-Silver Housing will also be working on this grant application with us. But we are an eligible Butte-Silver is an eligible applicant for these funds under the Department of Commerce's programs. And we've been pursuing permanent supportive housing projects for quite some time. We've applied for CDBG funds for this project in the past and were not awarded those. And those were the COVID relief funds with CDBG. We were awarded the project at the Butte Rescue Mission that we're getting underway right now. But we were counseled by the Department of Commerce to pursue these funds through Home-ARP to construct these permanent supportive housing units. And so the time is upon us to kind of get this together. In looking at we may pursue a grant for a little bit less than 1.9 million, looking at some of our funding partners and what we need to do to get that accomplished. So I appreciate the questions. I'm happy to answer more. Obviously, I just started talking, so I apologize.
Thank you, Director Burns. Follow-up, Commissioner Thatcher.
No, that's great. Thank you. That answered actually a few of them at once. So has a site, I guess, been identified at which to build these? Thank you.
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Burns.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chief Executive and Commissioner Thatcher, members of council. We conducted a preliminary architectural analysis in 2019 with a CDBG planning grant where we pursued and identified over 20 different sites within the community, including some existing buildings that could be remodeled. And then we looked at one of the alternatives you always look at is doing nothing, which is never a good alternative. But we did evaluate many different sites through the community. We've identified our top priority sites. They're all under Butte-Silver's ownership right now. And they are in Uptown Butte or in C3 zones that are zoned correctly for this kind of activity to occur in. Some of them, 2 of them are near North Wyoming, the Motel 6 area. There are some Butte-Silver parking lots that are underutilized as parking lots that we would look at possibly being the donated property for this construction. And so those were identified through that process. And in that CDBG planning process of the PAR, we held multiple public meetings and gathered public input about where we'd like to see this sort of development happen. So that has been identified.
Thank you, Director Burns. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Director Burns. Last follow-up. So donated property, so would the organization, the entity be receiving this property, Action Inc., would that be how that would work, or how would we go about that?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, and thank you, Commissioner Thatcher. So one of the scenarios would be that a donation could take place from Butte-Silver to the nonprofit that would then own the property and run the facility. It also could be a collaborative agreement where we would retain ownership of the property. It would be, that kind of thing. There's lots of different ways to structure it, but that is something that we could look at pursuing. What we are proposing, I believe, in our conversations would be that developer would be Butte Affordable Housing, and they would be the owner of the structure. And then possibly other services would be in the management of the structure from other entities in the community that work in this arena.
Thank you, Director Burns. Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Karen, during the discussions, was there any talk about the building that Action Inc. owns on North Main Street?
Commissioner Sorge, Director Burns.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Sorge, and members of council. The building that Action Inc. owns was evaluated for this exact purpose. And it ranked lower in a priority by our architects and engineers as being converted into permanent supportive housing. And that is a lot of different reasons, mainly because of the trauma-informed design that we'd like to incorporate into this. It was going to be much harder to retrofit that existing building into what would need to happen for this kind of housing.
Thank you, Director Burns. Any other questions for Director Burns? Seeing none. Okay, Commissioner Thatcher.
So thank you, Director Burns. I appreciate all of the information. So with that, I would like to make a motion to concur and place on file communication number 2023-518.
We have a motion and a second to place communication number 2023-518 on file. Is there anything to concur and place on file? Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to Section 3, ordinances and resolutions introduced to judiciary. We have 3 in there. And then we'll move on to, please note those, and go to Section 4, ordinance and resolution, first, second reading. We have, let's see, gotta make sure I got we have another 3 on that. So first one is Council Bill number 2023-06 and ordinance number 2023-06. Clerk, please read the caption.
An ordinance providing for reappointment of the Council of Commissioner Districts based on the 2020 decennial United States Census, replacing an ordinance 13-11, providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place ordinance number, Council Bill number 2023-06, ordinance number 2023-06 on second reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing Council Bill number 2023-06 and ordinance number 2023-06 on second reading. Right. Okay, commissioners, please vote. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 2, Council Bill number 2023-07, ordinance number 2023-07. Clerk, please read the caption.
An ordinance amending Chapter 2.88 of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code B-SB-MC entitled Animal Service Board and specifically amending sections 2.88.010, 2.88.020, 2.88.030, and 2.88.040 of the B-SB-MC and providing an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill number 2023-07, ordinance number 2023-07 on second reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing Council Bill number 2023-07 and ordinance number 2023-07 on second reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Commissioner? Oh, you got it. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 3, Council Bill number 2023-08 and ordinance number 2023-08. Clerk, please read the caption.
An ordinance amending Chapter 2.87, amending Community Enrichment Department, specifically changing the title to Animal Service Department, and amending Section 2.87.010, 2.87.020, 2.87.030, and 2.87.040, and providing an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill number 2023-08, ordinance number 2023-08 on on second reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second to place, I lost my place there. Council Bill number 2023-08 and ordinance number 2023-08 on second reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yeas, 0 nay.
12 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to section 5, ordinances and resolutions for final reading. We have one tonight. Item number 1, resolution number 2023-54. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution providing for changes of the boundaries of the election precincts to conform to the legislative districting and the appointment for the prepared and the filed for following the 2020 federal population census and providing an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place resolution number 2023-54 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2023-54 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yeas, 0 nay.
12 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Now, County Attorney Joyce, I have a question. So in this next section, this is where we will put it on this communication, am I correct? In resolutions, ordinances, suspension of the rules? Nope. Just communication, okay. But we did do a suspension of the rules after that. All right, yeah, you're correct. Okay. Hey. Got it. Okay. So we'll move on to section 6, resolutions and ordinances for the suspension of the rules for final passage. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move for the suspension of the rules of purpose of passing resolution number 56 and resolution number 57 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, hereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules for resolution number 2023-56 and resolution number 2023-57. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yeas, 0 nay.
12 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving back to resolution number 2023-56. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution authorizing authorizing Montana Association of Counties, MACO, to represent the interest of the city county of Butte-Silver, Montana, in seeking a declaration judgment from the Montana Supreme Court regarding the statewide education mills authorized by sections 20-9-331, 20-9-333, and 20-9-360 of the Montana Code Annotated, and providing an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place resolution number 2023-56 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2023-56 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving to item number 2, resolution number 2023-57. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution authorizing the submittal of a home ARP grant for the purpose of financial assistance for the construction of a permanent supportive housing in accordance to the procedures of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code and providing a effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place resolution number 2023-57 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2023-57 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Now we move on to communication number 2023-59 is a communication from Josh Bryson, liability manager. Is this how I do? 5-2, did I say 527? No. 2023-529, a communication from Josh Bryson, liability manager for Atlantic Ridgefield Company, requesting to make a presentation on the November 1st, 2023, to provide an update of the Butte Priority Soils Operable Unit, remedial design and remedial action progress. This communication was not submitted by the deadline for the items to be placed on the October 18th agenda. However, in order to be placed, do I need to read the rest of that? I don't need to. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. You're doing good. I move to place to hold in abeyance communication number 2023-529.
We have a motion and a second to place communication number 2023-529 in abeyance. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote?
Oh.
Do we need to change that?
Okay. I'll have to amend my emotion, I guess, to concur I move to concur with the request to hold communication number 2023-529 to hold the presentation.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to concur and hold communication number 2023-529. Is that correct? Is that the motion? Concur and place on file, not to hold.
Mr. Chief Executive, I think the motion is to concur with the request to hold the presentation and hold it in abeyance pending the presentation occurring.
Okay. So.
Oh, all right.
What
real technical here. I amend my motion again to I move to concur and hold in abeyance until the communication number 2023 until the presentation on November 1st, regular meeting 2023.
We have a motion and a second to concur with the motion of Commissioner Frederickson. Is there anything on the question? I think we just got to wait for the clerk to reset that. I apologize for us on the... Okay. And would anyone like to change their vote? I think we could... Is everyone okay with their original vote on that? I think we have it already. Aye. Signal by aye. Anyone nay? Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. So we got through it. Next, we'll move on to the calendar and meeting and other events. Please note all the different meetings that we have. Next, we'll move on to any public comment on any item on the agenda that is not on the agenda tonight. Please come forward, state your name, your address, and what you'd like to speak to us about. Do we have anyone? Okay. 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 Chief Executive. There, you want to hit the button right there? There you go. It'll turn red. There you go.
Thank you, Chief Executive and Commissioners. My name is Joel Worth. I'm a union representative for the Carpenters. I live at 2416 South Main. I just wanted to come up and talk just a little bit about community wealth. I know that we have a lot of programs that we've got in place where we give out grants and funding for development and other projects, but I think we need an avenue to make sure that some of that money that we're putting out there for redevelopment is kind of staying in town and putting people to work. I know there's a project right now on Harrison Avenue where, you know, there's no workers from Butte on that project. These guys, and I'm sure a lot of you have relatives that were in the labor movement, but, you know, there's guys out there working on Sundays that aren't even from Butte. So where's the community wealth there when we're paying taxpayer money to get these buildings looking good, but nobody's working on them? So I would really like to see that we maybe start to look at an ordinance to where when we're giving out grant money or giving land away for development, that we can put some avenues in there to keep some of the local contractors busy on those projects. So, and I'd be happy to talk about that with any of you guys on when you got some free time. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worth. Is there any other public comment on any item not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.